Dana. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Hypnosis.
And beyond. Today we have Octavia Landix. She's a music producer guru, Grammy-nominated engineer with 20 years of music experience.
Welcome, Octavia.
Thank you. Hello, hello.
We are so happy to have you, and we can't wait to hear some of the highlights in your journey that have led you to being a guest today on Hypnosis and Beyond.
Oh man. So first of all, really thank you for having me here. What led me to hypnosis and beyond? So, I got my start out as a music student playing piano at the age of 15, actually. And when I started there, I started to dive into what's called music production, which is pretty much, some people will call it like beat making. I started to fall in love with that. And when I got into music production, I found a recording studio in my neighborhood. And when I got into that recording studio, I started learning audio engineering. Now, mind you, I was still like in my teens at this point. It was like between the ages of 15 to about 18. And when I did that, then I sought out mentorship. Mentorship, I think, is very, very important in the field that I'm in. And so when I sought out mentorship, these were individuals who were working in the music and entertainment industry already. So they would take me on like shows that they would do or studio sessions that they did, and just really poured into me and showed me a lot about what I wanted to get into. And from there, I decided to go to college. Um, and while I was doing this, also, I was like gigging around Los Angeles. I was in a band. I played keyboards in a band. Got
Nice.
to play for some amazing people. I got to open up for the Black Eyed Peas at one point. I got to open up for the Isley Brothers. I got to perform for Macy Gray. All this just in the setting of like playing in a band. And I did like a lot of fundraisers, a lot of galas, and things like that. So I went to college. I went to Santa Monica College, studied music there. Then I transferred out of state to Berklee College of Music in Boston. Total climate shock. Being a California girl, that East Coast weather, I was not ready for that. Just the total climate shocker for me. But love the school, and came back home. And then I went to audio engineering school to really study more of the science behind engineering, understanding the frequency spectrum, how it relates to the presentation in music. And there's so many avenues that engineering in terms of audio does for our bodies that we don't even really realize when we're listening to music or just in our everyday lives. So I became a really big audio nerd, and I still am. I'm an audio nerd. So went to audio engineering school. Straight out of audio engineering school, I got a crazy internship with Capitol Records. That was amazing, for a very, very predominant producer named Rodney Darkchild Jerkins. He's worked with Michael Jackson. He worked with Whitney Houston. He worked with Brandy. He's worked with Mary J. Blige. So many predominant A-list artists. And I was with him for a year. Then that ended. And I was like, oh man, like, what am I going to do now? So I had a friend of mine who owned several commercial recording studios in Hollywood and in Burbank. And I reached out to him, was like, hey man, like, I'm kind of out here, floating. Can I come in your studio and just be a fly on the wall, or can we barter? Or, I just know I just need to be in a space that I want to be in to pursue what I love. And he took a chance on me. He's like, yep. He was like, we'll barter. So by day, I was an Uber driver by day, and I was a music producer at night. And so many opportunities just came out of being in that space. Eventually, I started getting paid work. I worked with um, Kendrick Lamar's team. I was actually able to record some stuff for him. I worked with a lot of record labels. Working out of that space, I was able to work on a project that was nominated for a Grammy. So I'm a Grammy affiliated recording engineer. And I work with a lot of local artists now. I still do record label work, but right now our industry is kind of going through a phase. Um, some of it is dealing with AI. Some of it is just dealing with the state of the economy, and just how businesses are reacting right now to the state of things. So right now I'm out here, just promoting myself. I'm building my presence and my online awareness and my brands. And I'm out here right now. I'm trying to help people. Mentorship in my industry, I think, is really diminishing right now. And this is the way that so many of us have been able to give out such great quality music. And I personally feel right now, in the music that I specialize in, it's kind of boring and linear. So, and I think that's due to lack of mentorship, lack of people who have top industry experiences, not pouring back, not paying it forward. So right now, I'm like, hey, like if there's talent out there who's amazing and can help give out good, timeless music again, and music with substance, and I want to help them. I'm like, let me pour into you. Let me help you to help attribute to what the heck is going on right now. So I think that's kind of how I ended up here.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I think probably Jen and I both got real excited when you started to talk about frequencies and learning about that and what a big effect, that can have on people. So I just wonder, in your training, how does that work with sort of commercializing music and making a product that will sell versus making a product that is also healing? Is there a conflict between the two, or do you find a way to just weave in? How does frequency play a role for you personally, as a producer, as an audio engineer, all of those things that you do?
Well, in terms of frequencies, I don't know if I will say like it's a conflict. Um, I will say that when producing music that to me that has meaning, there is certain frequencies that are just relevant all across the board, right? So there are certain frequencies that technically in certain studies are that they can be good for us. And then there are certain frequencies that are technically can be a little bit more harmful to us. So, like just for example, like let's say if we're out at an event and maybe you hear like a really high pitched frequency sound, right? Something like that. It's very, very obvious that frequency is hurtful, right? Your face might scrunch up, or it's very obvious. It's my job to be able to pull those frequencies out or detect them so that it's pleasing to the listener, right? Um, or that it doesn't hurt the listener's ear canals or anything like that. So, it's my responsibility as a producer and as an engineer to make sure that whoever is listening, because we listen to music at all type of volumes, right? We listen to them really loud or or we can listen to them really soft. At a softer pace, it may not hurt as much, but a lot of times people, they want to hear their music loud, they want it cranked up. And this can also cause people to lose their hearing at a very, very early state, right? So on a commercial side, it's my job to make sure that I'm detecting frequencies that could be harsh to the human ear. Um, Also, if you get to like a really low part of a frequency, that you kind of feel more like you would feel like a more pulsating feeling. Those frequencies, um, I would say that they're bad, but scientifically, it's shown that that they can be used in other ways where it's not too good for our bodies as well. But those frequencies are needed. But the way they can be where they don't feel as good for the human body is if they're played at a really, really loud level for a very long period of time. So, um, but but these frequencies, they're present in every product that I make. So I have to find them and detect them. And I've been doing this for a very, very long time. So I'm very good at what I do, and I'm very good at being able to detect them.
I think that's really interesting. I wonder when someone is creating music and they're coming to you saying, I have an idea of a song or uh, product that I want to make. Does that enter into the conversation, the discussion of frequency and healing frequencies? And like, how does that come into play when somebody is making a song? It sounds like it's a passion of yours. Is that a part of the usual, sort of protocol that you go through, or is that just something you do behind the scenes that you don't tell them, or not a
It's
secret, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. 9 times out of 10, when I'm working with them, with an artist or a client, that's not a part of the conversation. They don't even understand really what that is unless, maybe the person overseeing the project, who would be like another producer like myself, or maybe they have a background in engineering, they understand, and there are things that they can hear. Um, and so we can actually communicate and we have the same language. But in terms of like on the spectrum of healing, not really, but it's almost like an unspoken understanding. Um, because these frequencies, not only for someone like me, can I hear and tell what they do? It's also a feeling. Like, I know also how these frequencies feel. Um, I know depending on the song, I would say depending on how it's coming through in a song, which ones feel good in that song, which ones are pleasing to the ear. A lot of times, very interesting. If I'm working on a piece of music, I'll listen with my eyes closed to feel the vibrations, to feel the frequencies, um, just to understand, okay, what are these frequencies? How are they talking in this song? How are they communicating in this song? How are they bringing out the very best in this instrument, in the bass instrument, or in the drums, or in the singer's voice, or which ones are maybe working a little too harshly against each other, that's not working well within the piece of music. So a lot of times, as you asked before, is it kind of happening, while people are around, or is these kind of like while I'm doing it on my own time? This is really more on my own time, more of what's considered the post production side.
Interesting. Okay. And then what about when you are helping people? One of the things that Jen and I explore with various guests is how they are helping other people find their voice in a way, right? Whether it's through hypnosis or NLP or other healing strategies, you're also doing that same thing where you're helping people really get at the core of what their message is and what they want to put out there and all of that. So how does that work as well? Like what's kind of your process if people are stuck or they're not sure where they want to go? How do you help people find their voice literally, right, if they're a singer?
Yeah, really, I have to get to I kinda gotta get all up in that person's business a little bit. I have to know who you are. Um, so I ask a lot of questions, and when I'm coming to find out, what one of my superpowers is as a music producer as I've gotten older, I'm a great listener. A lot of people tell me all the time, "You're such a great listener." And I care. I'm a very caring individual. I'm a very caring person. So if I'm working with somebody and like they're stuck or they're unsure, I just start asking questions. I'm like, well, why are you stuck? Or what are you feeling? Tell me how you're feeling. And music for so many of for my clients, it's therapeutic, you know? So, when they're writing a song, they're writing from a real place. These are people I work with. There are people who write things, kind of what you brought up earlier, commercially, like what's popular. And it's kind of thoughtless, like they're just doing what everyone wants to hear, or what's selling. But when I'm working with people that no, like this is my art, like this is my baby. Uh, I want to have a message that's going to reach people or reach an audience, or this is my audience, whether I'm talking about songs about heartbreak or songs about, overcoming or being strong under certain circumstances or partying or feeling good or whatever it is. If an artist gets stuck, I really start asking questions because I have to kind of get in your mind a little bit. I got to understand, what do you want it to say? Or what, a lot of times I'll just ask them, what are you feeling right now? You know? And it's almost like a therapy session on the couch. They'll just start, oh, I feel this, or I don't know, or they'll have doubts or all these things. And so I'll just start to kind of pick that apart and I'll encourage them. I'll speak encouragement into them, because they still need to know that whoever they're working with believes in their message, believes in what they want to convey and what they want to say. So I'm like the first line of support. Usually it's just me and them in the room, maybe a few other writers in the room, depending. But it's like this is a team effort, and my intention coming in, I know very clearly what my job is. So my job is to pull the very best out of that artist. I have to pull that, and this is another superpower I have. I can see things about you that you don't see. Like some of the because a lot of my clients, they deal with their own personal insecurities. We all do, right? We all have our own personal insecurities that we deal with. And artists are very sensitive. They're very sensitive. So they need to feel support, they need encouragement. These are things that they need to feel. And so I know that coming in, that's something that at the forefront of my mind. I'm like, okay, this person has to know that I'm gonna support them, I'm gonna support their vision, and that my job is to bring the very best out of you. So things that flaws that this artist may start to feel or see, I can see beyond that, especially if we're working on something and it's starting to take shape and I'm starting to kind of hear it before it's even complete. I'll hear songs before they're even done. And I'm like, that's part of me being the visionary, you know. I can hear it before it's done. So the artist, they may be in a stump, but it's like, oh, well, I see it already. So let me kind of help pick you up. And I'm like, it's all right. I'm like, look, we're going to do this, and kind of give them reassurance. And so when I give them reassurance, then they're all right. So we're back in it, you know. I've had clients that have been ready to quit in the middle of sessions, because they're kind of in their head, or I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, just take a minute, why are you feeling this? Tell me what you're feeling. I kind of talk them through it. And then they're like, wow, like I feel so much better. They just really just kind of just need to talk, and they're like, wow, like I feel so much better. Like, I'm like, good. I'm like, let's try it again, or sometimes I'll take those clients, their frustration that they might feel in that moment, and I'll say, sing through it, you know, let it out on the microphone. Um, that's how you get some of the best music too, because it's so emotional. So I've had clients who've been angry. They've been angry. They've been sad. They've been frustrated. And I'm like, can we just do another take? Because the song we may be doing may be in that vein. And I'm like, yeah, let's just record it. Let's record while you're in the emotion that you're in. And then I'll play it back from them. Like, oh, wow, that was amazing. I'm like, yeah, you sound great. So sometimes it's even taking advantage of maybe the emotional state that they're in that moment. And I've cut a lot of great songs or a lot of great lines or that were nice. There were nice accidents, you know, um, unexpected accidents, and they just like, wow, like Octavia, like that's really good. I'm like, I'm so glad that you love, and they love it. So, um, it's being able to recognize those moments, and I know that I'm like the first line of support for anyone. I've had people come in my sessions. I've had people cry. I've had people, like I said, people vent. But again, I'm a great listener. And I know that my role is, all right, well, let me listen to what you're going through because we're here. And so we don't want to um waste waste the time, but I want to be considerate of how you're feeling. And we still have a goal at the end of this. So a lot of it for me and my method, it really is listening.
There's so much there. I mean, it sounds like you have like a really solid method, so similar to like what we have been taught as well in working with clients about holding the best for them and having the vision when they can't find the vision anymore. So is this something you learned from anyone in particular, or is it like your life's, experiences? Like, how did you sort of mold this process?
Oh man. I think it's life experiences. Um in my life now, I've personally been on my own personal healing journey. And in my healing journey, I'm coming to understand a lot of trauma, unprocessed trauma that I've dealt with in my childhood, particularly. Like one of the reasons why I'm such a great listener is because I would listen to people's problems growing up. Or I was looked at as, with some of my friendships and some of my family members, I was kind of the go-to person that they would come to and share. And because I'm such a caring person and I would just listen, that's really what a lot of, counselors do with, therapists do. They listen a lot. I'm highly empathic. So I would really feel a lot of their hurt. I would just be like, oh, I just wish I could just hold you and I could just hug the hurt away. So I didn't even understand that was something I had been doing for years, with so many of my relationships. Like I've been incorporating this in my music sessions with people. So life experiences, definitely. And now I'm aware that this is part of my personality. It's part of what I do. Now, but caveat, it's a great. I'm also coming to understand that it's a beautiful characteristic for me to have as a person, right? But also when we come on the business side, I've had some people take advantage of that. So I'm also understanding now to be better with boundaries. And I've also gotten like professional representation now. Like, I have management now where, they're not going to allow that. They're like, and the thing is, in my industry, sometimes it's kind of like a doggy dog industry. Like, it's kind of cutthroat. So if you're not careful, this business can change you. It could make you kind of become hard or cold. And I've had a lot of people say, like, well, you're just being too nice or you're being this. And I'm like, but you know what? I don't want my industry to change me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be this hard, cold, you know, I don't want to be that. I'm a very strong individual. Like I grew up in South Central. Okay. Like, so, so I'm a really, really strong individual, but I don't want to be that. And I've seen people in the industry who I've known, they've come in and then years later they've turned out a different way, um, just because of how they have to be hard in terms of business or the sharks in the industry, things like that. I'm like, you know what? But I don't want those beautiful parts of me to change. I don't want that for myself, and you can feel that if someone is pushing you or trying you or testing you. And I was like, and I'll just pass you off to my management, or I just won't deal with you at all. There's too many people. I can work with people who see my value and appreciate my value and my worth.
If somebody has a desire to make music, um, do you have any advice in terms of just I'm talking about just an amateur at home, somebody who just wants to express themselves. Do you suggest that people just sort of make a little recording and listen to it and see how that feels? Or are there certain steps that people should take to help develop a desire like that?
Oh yeah. I definitely would say you want to, for one, do music because you love it. Understand your why you're doing it. Some people, they may do it just as a hobby, which is wonderful. I'm like, if that's what you want to do as a hobby, do it as a hobby. That's beautiful. Um, and then there's some people who they want to get into the realm where they want to do it professionally, where they want to be able to compete in the market. I think they need to understand what it takes to compete in that market, right? It's different versus if you just want to do it as a hobby, as therapeutic. It's music is at our fingertips now. You can upload music now on your phone, right? So my advice would be know your why. And when you figure out your why, depending on which lane it is, um, then you want to understand the steps of how to get it out there. Um, if you want to do it professionally, that's going to take some work. So if you're willing to do the work and get better and just strengthen yourself in your craft, then you're going to attract the people that's meant to help you. So um, you don't force it. Don't force wanting this person to see you or this person to see you. Focus on the people who see you. Focus on them. Sometimes we'll be like, oh, I want this person to see it. I want this person to approve it. I want this person to like it. Focus on the people who see you. Those are the people that are attracted to your message. That's attracted to your sound. They're attracted to maybe your look. They're attracted to your story. Those are the people that you focus on and you give your energy to.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, so many good thoughts there. I was just wondering about AI that because I mean, when you're talking about the sensitivity of artists, what is the industry feeling about AI and in the future of that?
Oh boy. Some of us are scared because it's like, oh, it's coming for a job. Some people are embracing it. Um, I personally, when it first came, I'm very on the fence. I can see both sides of the spectrum. I look at the presentation of AI right now very much like when the Industrial Revolution happened, or there was a period where like the dot-com bubble, when the internet was coming and everybody like, well, I don't know, like the internet is spooky and it's da da da, So I feel like AI is that in our time now. And it is here. And I don't think it's going anywhere. And so my view is I'm skeptical because as an artist, and this is what a lot of artists think, in the beginning phases, there's laws that have to be put in place to protect artists' IP, to protect their intellectual property. And a lot of those laws aren't in place right now. And we have, the people who distribute the music, you have your Spotify's, you have your, like your Apple Musics, you have your Amazon Musics. There's no clear line on how do you make sure that my intellectual property is protected. Are you embracing AI? Because that can be competitive for me because it's more faster, it's more efficient. There's a few AI artists out right now in our industry who's like charting billboards. And so it's like how are you charting the billboard, when there's artists who are real people who can't, who are like, they've really put years in, they put their 10,000 hours in. And it's like, I can't even get on Billboard. And I've been doing music for 20 years or in an AI generated entity or person is charting, so that can be discouraging for artists. And, but again, I think it figures out you have to know your why. What's your why? Are you doing it just for clout? Are you doing it for fame? Like, why are you doing music? And so a lot of artists are really scared. They're really unsure. They're really against AI. Now, on the flip side of the coin, I can understand how you can utilize it to your benefit. You can use it to maybe help your business model or to, if there are certain things that maybe you didn't understand on how to get more reach or just maybe feed AI, whichever AI you use, feed it your music so it can understand maybe what your message is and ask it questions like, okay, well, you say, hey, Chat GPT, my Chat GPT, his name is Craig. Okay. So I called Craig. So let's say I said, hey, Craig, I'm going to feed you this song that I did by this artist who's a 4-time Grammy-nominated songwriter or whatever. I want you to analyze this song with my history of music, and I want you to create a definition of how this is tailored to my sound or my sonics for my bio or my job description or whatever. And then Craig will analyze it and say, based off of your history and the music and what you do, this is what I came up to tailor for this position at this job or for your bio or for your press kit or whatever. Those are things of how you can utilize AI as an artist. That's how I utilize it. I was like, well, let me just start having it understand my work history, the songs that I've done, who I've worked with, to tailor for a more elite bio or profile. Or right now I'm doing consultations, so I've incorporated that to find the artists who I want to help. Like, hey, like this is my extensive resume based off what I've done. This is how I can help you if you fit in this category, right? There's also in the film and television industry, there are some parameters that's being built around AI with music. There's like, hey, like if you use an AI generated voice or an AI generated instrument, we'll take it as a demo. But if we accept it to maybe place it in commercial music or commercial music, TV, film, or movies, you have to go and get a real person to replay it or a real person to sing it. Those to me are good. That's good indicators because that can also create an avenue for real musicianship again or real artists again or real singers, so there's people like who's scared, but I'm like, well, there's still parameters where like, okay, well, if you use AI in this aspect, you still got to go get a real human to perform it, or play it, which is an upside. So I think that there can be room for real human involvement, even with AI. So I understand both sides. I'm still on the fence because, like I said, the lines are just not clear. There's certain music platforms who's banning AI music in tandem. Maybe that might change. Maybe if our senators or whoever, they'll get the lines a little bit more defined on how to protect artists and musicians. But there's some platforms that are like, no AI is welcome on this platform at all. No AI music, which I also commend them for.
That brings us to our next segment, which is our silly subconscious question. And our
Okay.
question for you today, Octavia, is if your life had a theme song right now, what would it be?
Ooh. Oof. What would it be? There is an artist by the name D Smoke. He's a rapper out of Inglewood. Um, he's really climbing right now in terms of his success. He just signed to Snoop Dogg's label, and he has a song out that I heard last year. Is called "Winning." I would say that that is my theme song right now. Winning. I'm winning in so many areas of my life, not even just musically, but since I've really been on my healing journey, I'm winning and I'm so enriched in so many ways in my life that is just going to excel um my music and the passion that I have and the people that I'm working with and just my plans for this year. I'm feeling really great about this year and I'm just all wins, so I'm definitely winning.
Love it. Thank you.
Hey, I gotta listen to that song. Have that as my theme song. But, so beyond what we've talked about today, is there any last word of wisdom that you'd like to leave the audience with?
Oh man. Um think positively. There's so much there's so much going on right now just in everyone's life. Everyone who I'm speaking with, there's so much going on. And what I've come to understand in my healing journey is that how you how you think, that's really going to be a huge part of your reality. There are certain things that, is you can only do certain things that are within your control, but the things you can control, it really does start in your mind. It really does. Your outlook. If you say you can't do something, that's going to be your reality. It really is. If that's how you think, if that's how you see yourself. So work on, if that is maybe your take or your reality, work on retraining your brain. Listen to something that's inspirational. Find somebody um who can help you. There's YouTube. Listen to somebody to get you motivated or, for whatever your goal is, don't think negatively, work on those parts of your life where you see things in such a negative light, or maybe you see yourself in a negative light. Work on changing that to get the outcome that you want in your life. However you see it, that's how it will be or can be, but positivity, think positively about yourself or your situation. Look at the things that there's so many things that you can be grateful for. And there's so many good things that do happen. If your perception is is you're looking at things in a positive way, that's how your reality will be. So that would be my advice. Just because of the state of how things are and where people are, look for the good in your everyday life.
Beautiful, beautiful message that we all need to hear. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for
we
having
definitely,
me.
we already want you to come back. And with that, Jen, what do we always say?
Peace out.
Peace out.
Hey.